everybody. Welcome to Impossible Coin. If you're here, then you are a subscriber to our Patreon, and we thank you for your donation. And in exchange, we will provide you with your quarterly anime episode. Right, Tegan?
Yeah, the anime update. Next episode, the next quarterly anime episode update, Brian will be on. He will, because he really wants to talk about Beastars Season 2. Mm. He has completely binged it. I am interested in watching it and have seen nothing on it, and I don't trust him to leave spoilers out of his commentary. So, next episode. See you in, October? October, I think.
October sounds right.
October, November-ish. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
But today, it's Digimon Christmas! Happy birthday, Digimon! Happy Odaiba Day! Oh, very happy. Hello, happy birthday, Digimon. Happy Odaiba Day. Today is August 1st, 1999, now and forever. In my heart.
Okay. Oh, God. 22 years. Shout out to them.
22 years of Digimon. Anyway, normally we don't do, anime news on here, but because today is Odaiba Day, DigiFest happened last night at 5 in the afternoon Japan time, which means it was 4 a.m. my time. So I fell asleep and woke up to Christmas, which is my favorite holiday. We got a bunch of new merch drops. Good for me. A bunch of Tamers merch. Good for the people who really, really love Tamers. But the very exciting thing we got is a new anime announcement and a new movie. And the anime is coming out in the fall season this year.
Oh, shit.
Yeah! Oh, I'm hyped. We know nothing. We have only seen the protagonists and, their Digimon. That's it. So it's called Digimon Adventure Ghost Game. Mm-hmm. And, that's it. We know that, and we know nothing about the kids, and we know the names of their Digimon, and that's it. So it looks like it's a trio. They look like they're a little bit older than most Digimon kids. Mm-hmm. Oh, if that makes sense. I'm going to send you a link, Rocky, so you can take a look at these children.
Okay. While you're putting that together, I have a question.
Yeah.
If you know, next to nothing about it, how are you so excited?
Because I'm excited for Digimon content that isn't adventure-related.
Okay.
I have covered... we'll get there. Digimon Adventure 2020 sure did some stuff, but we're not there yet. We're at the good parts of Digimon, where I get to look forward to things. Honestly, whatever. So here it is. Here's the poster. Very cool. These kids, to me, look like they're older kids, not like they're little kids. This is not how...
These look like teens and stuff.
These look like teens. These look like young adults. I'm willing to say, late high school, early college.
I'd be willing to believe.
The other people I'm talking to who do Digimon stuff are like, no, these are going to be your elementary school kids. And I'm looking at them, I'm like...
These aren't elementary school kids. Are you kidding me?
These heads are too small. These legs are too long. These fits are too good. They're not elementary school kids.
Elementary school kids do not dress like this. They don't have drip like this.
They don't, not real. Honestly. And one of the guy who's obviously going to be not our protagonist's rival, he looks like he came out of Yu-Gi-Oh! Almost.
The silver-haired kid?
The silver-haired kid, yeah.
Yeah, he has card game deuteragonist written all over him.
For sure. He's got a little flip out hat helmet hair thing. He's got the overshirt with a turtleneck under it. A little necklace. Hello? I'm sorry. The 3 Digimon pictured in the background are all new Digimon. The big silhouette belongs to a dude, and the link I sent you has, if you click through, you'll see the actual Digimon. The big dude is called Angoramon. The little dinosaur is Gamamon, and the alien-looking one is Jellymon.
They look great.
Yeah, these are all new Digimon. These are going to be new evolutions, new Digimon, as you do. We're up to so many actual existing Digimon. I know, we've said before, Pokemon has, a lot of Pokemon. But when we were saying Pokemon had a lot of Pokemon, there were, 600 Pokemon.
Right.
And at that point in time, there were over 3,000 canon Digimon.
Yeah.
There are just more now. There just continue to be more. obviously our protagonist is going to get the dinosaur. Protagonist boy always has a dinosaur, even if he doesn't always have goggles.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like the rival deuteragonist dude is going to have Jellymon, and the girl is going to get Angoramon, just from their, like, positioning on the poster. And I know what happened to Renamon. And I've tried looking up pictures of Gardevoir. Like, I have a concern.
About Gardevoir?
No, about Jellymon and what they're gonna evolve into.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, so, up until Miyako, Yoli from O2, Digimon's gender identities and the children's gender identities matched.
Sure.
Miyako was a girl in O2, but Hawkmon was a boy. Well, he was a gentleman, honestly. He was very polite.
Mm-hmm.
So, it looks like in this one, we've got a dude paired with a female Digimon, and then...
Oh.
Yeah. With a one that already looks like it's got some tentacle-like appendages.
Mm-hmm.
The concerns are there. It's entirely based on what the fan community does, and I have been in this fan community. I know what it does.
I get what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I don't trust any fan community with these particular circumstances.
Yep. But other than that, I'm looking forward to it. Sounds cool.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing we got a very short trailer for an O2 movie, a Digimon Adventure O2 movie, focusing specifically on, like, Daisuke and, like, his friends. So it sounds like it's going to be mostly, like, the Fab Four, which is Daisuke, Miyako, Iori, and Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily TK and Kari. And the tagline for that is, "The door to adventure opens." And very exciting. And it's about a kid who has a Digivice and no Digimon, and is very excited that they're the first person to have a Digimon partner. It sounds like it's post the original O2 series, like, going into that epilogue.
Okay.
And a couple of years ago, we got a drama CD that starred Willis and the, like, American Willis and some of the American Digidestined, like Mimi and stuff. And that was called, it had a very similar, like, tagline. It was called The Door into Summer.
Okay. And
they met a Digimon with no human partner, but who was a partner Digimon.
Huh.
When you're lost in the sauce, man, like, you see the connections and you fucking freak out. As one does.
I get that. 1 second. I need to grab this taco. It's my last BDO taco. So, like, I just need, like, 20 seconds.
Yeah, go get a taco.
What? Oh, shit, yeah. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Ow. Oh, God, mistakes were made. Okay, no, this is okay. I got it.
Did you grab it barehanded?
Oh, my God. Oh, boy.
Is it hot? Did you, like, grab it barehanded?
That may have been closer to 45 seconds, and for that, I apologize.
No, it's fine.
Cool, but yeah, this is a very hot birria taco. It's, like, sealed with, like, melted cheese.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Oh, wait, Tegan, are you not familiar with birria?
No.
Okay.
What is that?
So
can you spell it?
Bravo, India, Romeo, India, Alpha.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, so, like, it's a taco. Well, like, okay, so it starts with, like, the beef, right? Like, it's stewed.
Mm-hmm.
It's stewed in spices and whatnot, and you save the broth because you're going to use the broth later as a dipping sauce. And then you remove, like, the slow-cooked, like, beef that you made. You shred it, put it in a corn tortilla, and then melt it close with cheese. Some places opt to, like, just make the simple taco in a tortilla and then use a second tortilla to wrap around with the melted cheese. And then, you garnish it with, like, cilantro and, like, diced onion. And then you have the salsas if you so choose. But it's good enough to just take the melted cheese taco and then dip it into the dipping sauce so that it absorbs some of the broth that, like, boiled out of it. And then you bite into the taco. It's delicious.
That actually sounds really good.
Mm-hmm. Good. I was worried about, since, like, the barbacoa thing, if we could find a taco, but I think Tegan would, like, vibe with BDO.
I like Choco Tacos.
Fair enough.
Choco Tacos are great.
Oh, man.
We're learning all kinds of new things today.
I've been working through these, like, birria tacos because, like, because it's a kind of an ordeal with the cheese and the meat and the dipping sauce. And I've eaten a lot of good food over the past weekend. Like, I've been using these as, like, leftovers. Mm-hmm. And I had one leftover from last night, and so I'm eating it for lunch today.
Nice.
Mm.
I forgot to eat breakfast.
That's okay. I never eat breakfast.
I mean, instead of eating breakfast, I got up at noon. I didn't, like, get up at noon, but, like, I got up from my desk at noon.
Sure.
And I was like, I'm gonna do breakfast. And then I went into my kitchen, and instead I wiped down all the counters in my kitchen, and I, like, cleaned it and reorganized some stuff. It looks really nice. And then I looked up, and I was like, oh no, I have, like, 5 minutes to get ready for anime episode. And I started doing that, and then Nico barfed, and then I did that instead.
Done that before,
It's great. But yeah. But that's what's coming up. That's gonna be, they don't have anything really for the O2 movie. They said it's a very, very early look. But the Ghost Game anime is coming out this fall.
Okay.
So this fall, I will be telling you that I'm looking forward to it, and probably that I've watched, like, the first 2 episodes and how I feel. Because that's coming in October. Ready. I'm very excited for new stuff with Digimon.
Hell yeah. Like, well, we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
So let's dig into the stuff that we're supposed to catch up on. I may have dropped the ball a little bit with My Hero.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
I noticed.
It's still not done yet, so there is that. So I have time to catch up before the actual finale airs. But there's definitely been about a month near the end of this season where I just wasn't watching My Hero.
I mean, you are only 1 episode away from the end of part 1. At episode, it looks like you watched 13 of the 25 episodes that are going to be available.
Right.
And season 5, part 1 ended on episode 14. So episode 15, the title changes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well,
you're right there. You're fine.
Okay. That makes me feel a lot better then. But yeah, like, I've been watching My Hero, and let me see if I remember the right parts. We basically had, like, the inter-class competition, which, like, was mostly designed to show the growth of Class A and reintroduce us to the abilities of Class B.
Yes.
I do like the rivalry between Momo and the Big Hand Girl. Like, I think that's cool. Like, I'd like to see more of that. There are some characters in, like, Class B that have really terrifying powers. Like, the Fungus Girl is going to be a fucking monster if they decide to.
Yeah, imagine her as a villain?
Yes.
Excuse me? Excuse me. She almost killed a classmate. Legit.
For people who don't watch My Hero Academia, or if this is your first episode with us, My Hero Academia features
It's a shonen battle anime.
Right, and it features a school with kids with superpowers. And there's one girl in one of the classes that has a superpower where she can spontaneously, like, spawn mushrooms or fungi. And do all the things that fungi are able to do. And so she's able, in this particular episode, to, like, cause fungi to sprout out of steel for, like, a solid, like, 200-meter radius. Yep. And she can actually, like, make them, like, normal fungi that we normally eat, like in your pasta or whatever, or like straight up poisonous fungi, and she can spawn them like on people, which presumes that she could probably spawn them inside of people at some point. And I don't want to deal with that because I don't want to fight a person that can
Sir, she spawned one inside of oh god, no. What's his name?
What's his power?
The bird boy.
Tsukiyomi?
Yeah, she literally spawned one in his windpipe and he started to choke.
Right.
Like, as long as it's humid enough, she can spawn one. And they live in Japan. And I don't know if you've been to Japan, but Japan is an island nation with a very high humidity. So she's thriving. She's living her best life.
That girl's fucking dangerous.
Yeah, she'd be a terrorist. Like, a lot of these kids could be terrorists very easily, and they're just not.
Which is why they send them to school or whatever.
Yeah, that's why they're good kids.
I really like Bakugo's like presentation this one because like Bakugo, he's definitely kind of a shitheel. Like he's kind of a dick, but he has a very good power. He knows how to use it. He's very smart.
He's very confident in his own abilities as well, which is
right.
Like,
And
he knows what he's doing, and like, how dare you not understand?
But because he's, you know, not the gentlest or like uplifting of heroes, he was set back a little bit in getting his provisional license. Mm-hmm. So he was kind of behind the rest of the class where like he has to like go to remedial classes to finish that. But also, when it was his turn to take on Class B and they had to do their like capture mission, he led the team flawlessly. He put himself in harm's way and allowed his team to compensate. Mm-hmm. And it was a very, very good episode for Bakugo stands where they can look at their guy and be like, hey, our guy is the best. He swings with the heavy hitters. Do not shit on Bakugo. And I get that.
Bakugo has a trash personality, but this was the first proper episode since the one last season where he like is coming to terms with his feelings around the fact that he believes he is the reason that the greatest hero of all time has had to retire.
Right.
Like, this is the first episode that we see the growth from that and him actively trying to be a better hero and not just the best. Mm-hmm. Which was really good. I love Bakugo.
I think
Bakugo's an asshole at the very beginning of the series. He's abusive and he's a shithead. And now he's like, he's better. He's so good.
I think, I think he and, Deku are actually really great deuteragonists for each other. Because, they're both trying to be the best hero and they're missing complementary parts. Mm-hmm. Like, Bakugo is technically proficient. He understands his abilities and how to react to situations. But he's like abrasive and difficult, and he's not the kind of person that you trust with your problems. While like
he very much feels like an I work alone type of person without being like edgy and like that kind of thing. He's like, fuck you, I can do it better by myself, get out of my way.
Right. And like as far as like Western media like treats like superhero mythos, they make that character and they're like that forever. And like maybe they lose things, you know, in this like the cases of say like Jason Todd or like any Spider-Man issue, really. So like they seem like just like this edgelord, and like they're an edgelord, but they're heroes, so it's okay. And like this is like Bakugo is a character that like earnestly tries to interact with that trope and try to not necessarily like sanitize him, but like prove that there are issues with you being like a trusted hero when you act like this. And what are you going to do to gain the trust of the people? Mm-hmm.
And like, there is an entire like rating system in this show where like the public has an opinion, and like the public's opinion affects like the hero's stats. It's not just about like how many people they saved, how little damage they do, like that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. It's also like, does the public view you as a hero?
Oh God.
Would they trust you to help them in a time of crisis? And like that's part of the rating system for heroes, which is great. And why like the current like number one hero Endeavor is not a good number one hero at the beginning, like when he shows up as number one, because he doesn't necessarily care about like the public's opinion. He just wants to be better than the guy who's number one.
Right.
Which is the same thing Bakugo and Deku are doing.
I also, okay, so two things. One, I really love that, like, they're doing this with Endeavor specifically, because initially what they wanted to do, or what it looks like they wanted to do in a lazier show, that they were setting up Deku and Bakugo to basically end up in the same places that, like, All Might and Endeavor were at the beginning of the show. Where All Might was, like, the beloved superhuman hero, and Endeavor was, like, probably a little better at his job than All Might was, but definitely significantly less liked. And
with
like
a way lower charisma score.
Right. And like Bakugo, like one of the things that I really love, and like I continue to love more as the show progresses, is that when Bakugo is like sent to his first like internship, right, where he's hanging out with a pro hero, he's not hanging out with All Might and he's not hanging out with Endeavor, but he meets a man named Best Genius who sees exactly what's wrong with Bakugo. That Bakugo is good at his job, and if left alone, he'll probably be just like Endeavor, which isn't a bad thing to be, except for, being an abusive father and whatnot. But he sees that he is shaping himself in a way where he'll be good at his job, but no one will trust him. And Genus specifically interacts with, like, Bakugo knowing that, like, what you need to do is not be better at hero stuff. I'm pretty sure you're good at that. I need you to become a person that people that can believe in. And so, like, he takes him on, like, the kind of, like, community policing thing that, like, heroes
Bakugo
do.
hates. He hates it. He absolutely despises it. He's like, how is this improving my hero abilities? And Best Genius is like, you have to understand that being a hero is not just about showing off your abilities. Mm-hmm. It's about engaging with the community you're working to protect. And, like, and Best Genius is like, he's great. He's like a fashion icon.
Yeah.
He's so good.
And like,
his name's Best Genius. And like the Best Genius thing is a play on like an actual award in Japan for like good looking, kind men. But like, so Best Genius is also that, but also he's decked out head to toe in denim.
Yeah. And it's because his power allows him to manipulate fabric and like make it more durable and like, powerful than it normally is, so he uses denim because it's a really durable fabric to begin with. Mm-hmm. But also, I really like in this season where like they kind of flash back to Bakugo where he has a conversation with Genus, and it's not a true flashback because it's not a scene that we've actually seen before as viewers, but it's something that would have happened at that time. Mm-hmm. And like Genus talks to him and he asks him what his hero name is, and he says like the weird edgy bullshit like Lord
King Explosion Murder.
Yeah. And like, he's like, okay, well, I'm not sure that's a hero name that people will believe in, but I'll ask you again when you come back. And like, after that, Best Genius is like in critical condition after like a big like supervillain incident. So he can't even have that conversation right now. And that's definitely something that is evident in the show that is weighing on Bakugo as a character. And I'm very interested to see what he does with that challenge.
So, from where I've read through this arc, the second half of this arc, I'm a little bit past it. At the point in the manga that I'm at, Bakugo still does not have, like, a proper hero name. He's still just using his name. Uh-huh. So, like, that still hasn't been, like, addressed. But, like, his original hero name, I think I talked about this last time we talked about My Hero Academia, just between you and me. But the original hero name that Horikoshi wanted to give him was Ground Zero, which is such a good hero name. But then My Hero Academia got super popular in the West, and he's like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And, like, fair and valid, but also, like, for a guy whose fucking quirk is explosions, who sweats nitroglycerin, like, Ground Zero is the best fucking hero name you could ever come up with.
I'm really interested.
I'm really mad he's not using it.
I really want to read, like as much as, like, I don't actually read manga anymore, but, like, if I ever do get back into manga, I do want to read My Hero Academia, because I know there's a chapter that's just named Katsuki Bakugo. Mm-hmm. And that's supposed to be, like, a big, like, culmination of, like, the development of this particular character. Bakugo is a character to watch, is what I'm trying to get to. Mm-hmm.
All of the male characters in the show are very well developed.
Mm-hmm. They need to do
not
more.
Not so much the females.
Yeah, I mean, like, they're starting to do stuff. Like, they need to hire some consultants, because I know Momo deserves better.
Momo does deserve better.
And, like, Mina and, like, even, like, Ochako is getting some stuff. And she has, like, interesting motivations. They're just not doing anything with her dialogue or her, like, interactions. And
yeah, like, they're making... Like, she does, like, have some agency, in the... She has because Ochako is the heroine of the story. She is the heroine of the story. She gets a little more, self-actualization actions than, like, the other girls, you know? Like, Siyu is a frog. She does frog things, and, like, that's about it. She's, like, Siyu's very intelligent, and she's very much, like, good at thinking on her feet, but she doesn't have, like, a lot of the same emotional moments that, like, the dudes are getting in, like, her own personal development.
Right.
And same with Momo. Her stuff is all about, like, building up her confidence because she doesn't have any in herself despite being, like, rich and pretty and literally having the best quirk.
Right.
So her quirk is creation. She can create anything. Literally anything. She could print money, and she won't because she'll ruin the economy. Like, Momo's a good girl, but, like, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, Mina, I feel like, started as, like, she's grouped in with, like, Bakugo's friends, who are, like, affectionately called the Baku Squad.
Yeah.
Which is a great name. It's a great name. And it felt like her original thing, and, like, all these characters' original, like, appeal next to Bakugo was to rehabilitate his image.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, as Bakugo is growing, you can see how all of his friends are being pulled with him because they don't want to, like, they're not gonna let him, like, just order them around all the time. They all have opinions, and they give a shit about stuff. Man. So, like, they're all doing their own thing.
And fucking, like, Kirishima, like, he occasionally, like, thinks of, like, Bakugo, like, believing in him. And, like, it's like, man, Bakugo doesn't believe in anything. If he believes in me, then I have to show up. And it's just like, let's go, Kirishima. Ugh.
Right, and, like, Mina started out as, like, a very kind of, like, ditzy, fun character.
Right.
But in these episodes during, like, her battle sequences, we got to see how she's improved her own powers and, like, some moves that she's sort of taken from how Bakugo runs around or, like, booms around the field.
Mm-hmm.
She's using her acid in, like, more interesting ways. And it's because of, like, his influence of, like, figure out your own powers. Like, I'm not here to babysit you. And it's like...
Yeah.
His like abrasiveness is forcing the heroes who are the young heroes who are gravitating to him to grow as well. Whereas, like, Deku's friends aren't doing that.
Yeah.
Deku's friends are all turning into, like, vigilantes who are going to end up breaking the law.
Yeah.
Like, they will murder him. Like, you look at the two groups of friends and, like, you would think, like, oh, Deku's group, like, he's the hero of the show. Like, all his friends are, like, the Sunshine Squad. Everyone cares. It's so fun. And, like, Bakugo's friends would murder a man in cold blood. Absolute opposites. Like, Bakugo's friends would follow every letter of the law, figure out everything to the best of their ability, like, repair all the damage they do, and Deku's friends would fucking stab a man in an alleyway and then leave them.
Man, I really like, oh god, also, speaking of Deku's friends.
Tenya tried last season to stab a man in an alleyway.
That did not work out for him.
Succeed. No, it didn't.
But fucking Todoroki, right? Like, Todoroki so far, it feels like he's, like, earnestly trying to grow, and, like, he also probably would have been a protagonist in a different anime. But he, like, you know, he has father issues because his father is abusive to the point that their mother no longer lives with them. I think she actually just lives in hospice or something now.
She's in, like, a mental hospital, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a psychiatric facility. He, like, so Endeavor, like, he ignored his first two kids. He doesn't care about them. He started training his second kid to the point where, like, he ran away from home because he was suffering all this abuse. And then they had Todoroki, who had, like, the perfect combination of quirk. And so he's just like, fuck your siblings. You're my greatest legacy, and I'm gonna beat the shit out of you until you do what I want you to.
Yeah, very big Michael Jackson vibes.
Yeah, and so, like, Todoroki's, like, major arc is definitely, like, overcoming his feelings of his father, who is currently the number one hero, and, like, how do you surpass that without letting the bitterness of how he raised you fuck you up entirely.
Yeah.
It's about moving past, like, familial trauma, which is really neat.
And there's a really big section, like, partially because he's, like, a teen, and, like, he's trying to learn more about himself, and, like, specifically, he needs to be able to control and, like, utilize his power to like its like fullest potential. And like at the beginning of the show, he like was completely ignoring his like father's influence on his life. Like he literally has a quirk from his mother and his father, and he decided, I'm never using my father's quirk. And the protagonist Deku like basically shows him that in doing that, while you are rejecting your father, you are actually also rejecting yourself. And he's definitely doing more, at least in this season, in this current arc that he's in, to like acknowledge more of himself, even if that means interacting with his father, who, you know, he hates and shit. And that's really compelling. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on in this show.
There's a lot of really cool stuff going on in this show.
But yeah, like, and also, you know, like fucking Tsukiyomi, who's like the Birdman, and he found a way to, like, he has like a power that basically, if you find him in a dark alley in the middle of the night, you're fucked. GG's, nice knowing you.
His ability is called Dark Shadow, and he literally has like a shadow beast inside of him that he can summon, and gets more powerful the darker it is.
The trade-off that it's also more uncontrollable the darker it is. And so, like, that's what he needs to grow into, like, controlling the beast within. But recently, he's found a way to utilize the Shadow's powers in a significant way during the daylight. And that was and it's, like, it's something that, like, if you look at it, like, oh, that seems dumb. But, like, considering that this is a kid just trying to figure himself out, like, it's actually kind of ingenious. And it's partially because he's also interacting with the current number 2 hero, who's a relatively new character to the series, Hawks. Who is like this cool, like, feather guy. He apparently, like, he basically has like bird feathers and bird wings, but he can control the feathers like independently through like feather kinesis or something.
Yeah.
And he was definitely like a government experiment that's forced to be a double agent in this weird like League of Villains, like state government control conspiracy thing. And that's going to be fun to play with later. But Tsukiyomi hung out with this dude for a while, and like he spent some time with him, and he realized that like he needs to spend more time, you know, taming the beast within, even if he doesn't really like where it came from. And I think that's cool. But yeah, there's all this stuff to talk about with the show, and I'm still like 5 episodes behind. You know what I mean? Like,
like there's gonna be, we only got to they only showed, for spring specifically, they only got to episode 14 of the 25 episodes, so we've still got 11 episodes to go, which is like a whole other anime, essentially. And then, they already announced, we're getting another season, so like, of course we're getting another season. But like, there's some other like fun things that are going around here. Like, where is it? Let me find this. Not that one. Oh, there's 11. No, not agency. How old is he? I don't know how old. Endeavor's like a proper like adult. He's like in his 40s or whatever.
Yeah,
you know. Hawks is 22.
Yeah, Hawks is basically a kid.
Like at this point in the anime, Hawks is 22 and he acts like he's 22. He is chill. He's like, yay, I'm famous. Like, I want to live in a world where I don't actually have to work.
Yeah.
It's very good. It's very good.
Yeah, he'd
very
be
excited.
He'd be the kid like kicking it at the college bar. You know, he hits on people. He like maybe gets up and does some karaoke. He's having a good time.
He does also like stop the really, really drunk guy from hitting on the bartender and making her uncomfortable. He's like that kind of dude. You know?
Also like shout out to Zeno Robinson, who does like the English VA for Hawks. Because his English VA for him is actually really good. I'm like, I've seen his clips, and I'm like this close to like just rewatching the whole show in English just to hang out with like the great VA work that's going on there.
Right. He's like, a lot of times like the tone of stuff gets like lost for some reason. between, like, the Japanese and the English. But, like, Hawks' English VA, he sounds chill. Like, he's just here vibing. But, like, he also understands that, like, he has to have, like a presence about him. It's so cool.
He knows how to turn it on. That's the big thing.
He does. And, like, you can hear him turn it on the same way that you hear the Japanese VA turn it on when, like, he's interacting with other heroes, and then the public shows up. And, like, it's that customer service switch. And it's wild. It's so good. Watch My Hero. I know there's 5 seasons. I understand it's a lot for people to watch, but, like, if you aren't watching My Hero, and you don't have to watch it for the hype, like, watch it for the nuance and the commentary on heroes in media.
Right. Like, honestly, I feel like anyone who, like, digs, like, Marvel, like, would be doing themselves a service by sitting down and watching My Hero Academia. It definitely, like, interrogates a lot of the tropes that, like, Western superhero media just takes for granted. It's refreshing. It's a really good thing to do, I think.
Also, if you're, like, paying attention, you'll see, like, Western heroes are there.
Yes!
There they are! Like, it's very funny.
Oh, man. Alright, Tegan, are you going to do Odd Taxi, or am I going to do Nomad?
You can do Nomad first, and then I'll do Odd Taxi.
Okay.
Please tell me about this punching anime.
No, okay, Tegan, there is punching. There's a lot less punching than there was in the last season. I do want to say that.
Nomad is Megalobox Season 2, for people who don't know.
Right, so Megalobox, like, Season 1, right, was very much, like, honestly, I feel like it was like a Japanese reimagining of Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
It's about a, like, no-name outsider to the field who wants to dig into the world of boxing in this case Megaloboxing, where you have, like, sort of like armored suits that you can put over your upper body to, like, increase defense and power when you're punching. And this guy Joe, or Gearless Joe, fought without those, like, devices to try to take on, like, the world tournament in boxing. And it was, like, a very, like, interesting, like, show because it created this, like, dystopian, technologically advanced world, and it interrogated, like, not just, like, the persona of the boxer, but, like, the people who, like, put all their eggs in one basket for the sake of a dream.
Mm-hmm.
It took, like, their group, the Team Nowhere, where, like, there was, like, a washed-up, like, coach who had been coaching forever but never found the great talent, Gearless Joe, who was either going to become the champion or die trying, and a young homeless boy who was, like, could spend his life, like, hot wiring, like, bikes and cars for the rest of his life, or try to do something serious with it. And, like, they're an unlucky team that made it to the top, right? Megalobox Season 2, or Nomad, takes place about 5 years after, where the team has been scattered to the winds. There have been some happenings in between. Joe took on an exhibition match that he wasn't ready for, emotionally or physically, and got destroyed. The coach died from a chronic illness, like, just after the fight happened. And, like, Joe had been, like, basically running from, like, his past, like, addicted to painkillers the whole time. And the first, like, minor arc, like, the first, like, 4 episodes is about Joe meeting a man known as Chief, who is, like, the paragon of his community, despite his significant loss. He's lost a wife and a son after becoming an immigrant in a country that doesn't want him there, and he decides to box to help his community, and he decides to enter a tournament with Joe as his second in order to make enough money so that the people that live in his village, which is actually an abandoned amusement park, have enough money to buy the amusement park so that they can live without harassment from the outside world. The chief enters his fights, and he wins, even though being, like, significantly physically hurt, and he dies of a brain hemorrhage because he doesn't want to spend a cent of the prize money to make sure that the village has enough money to secure their future.
Oh my god.
Right? It is heart-wrenching and, like, intense. It's about, like, the whole thing is about self-sacrifice and, like, community and, like, being a part of the world and making sure that the future has a place in it. And Joe takes that to heart, and he is deeply ashamed at like how he thought to center himself when his village, the homeless children and Chief needed him most, and center himself instead of looking after his people. So he decides, like, episodes like 5 through 13 is more about Joe trying to return to the people that he abandoned and try to reconcile. And it's not easy, because he definitely let them at their lowest moment. And all of these people have either moved on or grown into people completely independent of Joe and their experience. Mm-hmm. Joe repeatedly puts himself on the line for the sake of these people, to like slowly win back their trust. When he returns, the young boy who was like the mechanic for his team decides to become a Megaloboxer to try to fill Joe's shoes himself without Joe and Coach behind him, and he doesn't have the talent. That's just the difference. And so like he is fighting in underground fights, and the gear that he made and maintains himself, repeatedly losing, and like the house can't make any money off of him because he doesn't give any surprising results. Like, no one's ever going to bet on him and the house is going to make money, and everyone's going to bet against him and the house loses money. But he keeps showing up because he wants to fight and they need fighters. So that's just how that's going to go. And Joe decides to show up with his clout as former world champion in this underground match and throw a match so that the young boy Sakio could be freed from his contract and be able to pursue a life that could be beneficial to him. And everyone like knows that he should really just go to an engineering college and get like a real earnest job, but like he doesn't believe he has the time, and he refuses to abandon his family the way that Joe did. And like a lot of like his arc is just trying to like catch up to realizing their own potential, but also caring for the people that look after you and like making sure that they're okay. And like Joe spends a lot of the series like rebuilding the old gym that was destroyed by a typhoon shortly after he abandoned them. And right? And there's a I know, Tegan, and this is only 13 episodes, if you can believe that.
Oh my god! This is only 13 episodes.
Yeah, and
okay.
And there's a whole other, there's a C plot that's tied a little bit to like the immigrant like question, which is there's a man named Mac, right? He was a former amateur megaloboxer. He wasn't very good. He had good power, he had decent movement, but he had bad instincts and he was angered easily. And so like he could be goaded into like going too aggressive and just get counterpunched, and those are the end of those matches. But he had a wife and he had a son, and at some point he leaves megaloboxing to like support them as a police officer. Not great, but whatever. But he becomes a police officer, and one day there's a fire that his like unit is responding to, and he rushes into the fire to save people in and like actually carries out a young child, but ends up with such severe injuries that he's paralyzed from the neck down. And like the short version is that his family does not have time for him to be paralyzed from the neck down. You know, his wife, his family has bills, they have to take care of themselves, and also his son has a very rare blood disease.
Of course he does.
And his wife, in this terrible situation, is approached by a young engineer who's developing a new brain chip that's experimental that could potentially reverse his condition, or, probably do something worse. And she signs the papers in exchange for securing the treatment for her son's blood disorder. Right? Mm-hmm. So the son's blood disorder is treated, and Mac gets a new brain chip that slowly allows him to regain the use of his limbs and ultimately become more powerful and responsive than he ever was before. And as a publicity stunt, the engineer talks Mac into re-entering the world of megaloboxing. And he finds a lot of success and turning like what seems unlikely like scenarios into very convincing wins, and the crowd that follows him calls this phenomenon Mac time, where like near the end of a match where it looks like Mac is on his last legs, and he suddenly turns it around for the win. And the opponent of Joe, Yuri, who was like the big champion of like the previous season, he was actually wheelchair bound after his match with Joe in the first season, has taken on a new protege. And he recently won the Megaloboxing Championship. He beat Joe in the events before this season. And he ends up in an exhibition match with Mac. So it's like the Eternal Champion versus the People's Champion in this exhibition match. And Yuri is like beating him in the first 2 rounds, and even like holds back a bit because he's like wary of Mac time. And then like in the 3rd round, he decides that this is the time we're going to press and try to end the match. And he's just wailing on Mac. He has him on the ropes, and he's falling sideways, Tegan. And then like you see from Mac's perspective, his eyes like there, he has a cut above his eye, so like there's blood falling into it, and then it kind of like melts into psychedelic colors.
Oh no.
And then like Mac's like right foot plants as he's falling sideways, and Tegan, I've never seen a man falling put their foot down like that, and he absolutely destroys the protege.
Oh wow.
And,
no.
And I was just like, that's fucked up. Are you guys kidding right now? And it turns out that's what Mac time is. Mac time is actually an overcompensation from the brain chip that like accelerates his like parasympathetic system so that he has more adrenaline pumping through his body and goes into like an absolutely like feral kill mode. But because it's boxing, it's okay. I'm not even sure, like, the show doesn't make a point to say whether or not it's programmed or not. However, there is an incident where, Mac is at home with his family, and his wife is, like, tapping on a glass with a spoon to make this, like, high ringing sound.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, Mac enters, like, a feral, like, mode there, and he steals, like, his son's plate and starts eating it with his hands, like, while, like, grunting. And, like, his child starts, like, crying, which is something that he should react to, but he doesn't. Like, he's, like, no longer the Mac that we know. And, Mac, like, is, like, and he's not, like, when he comes out of it, he's not aware of it. His wife knows that this is what's happening, so does his son. And so they're, like, sort of afraid of him until they're actually afraid of him. And, like, Mac doesn't know what's happening to him. Like, he allowed these people to make him into a monster just because he wanted to walk again. Which, you know, is a reasonable concern, but also a choice that a lot of people would make in that situation, so it is difficult. But, like, what he does is that he leaves the house, and he's just kind of wandering the streets because he's afraid to go home and potentially hurt his family while not knowing what's going on. And, like, his wife is super broken up about it, but she can't go to the press, and because it would hurt the company, and maybe they take the chip out of her husband, and now he can't walk anymore. And
God.
Yeah, and like, and then so like, there's like this whole kind of like corporate espionage thing where like the company that like Yuri's associated with that like made the initial gear is also kind of bankrolling like the people who are making this chip, and they don't know about this flaw yet. And so like, it's like kind of like a cat and mouse game of figuring out when this company is gonna like learn about like what this chip actually does, and whether they're going to pull back from it, whether or not Mac's like condition is actually curable, or if it's something he has to live with, or if there's a way to balance it so that he can live normally. But like everyone's just not talking about it. So like there's just like so much like fear and like uncertainty around it. And meanwhile, like Gearless Joe is one of the reasons that Mac got into Megaloboxing in the first place. When he saw a man come from nowhere, fight the world that had every potential advantage and win anyways, Mac thought, I have to be someone that fights for the things that I want. And so he ends up, when he finds out that Joe is back in the world again, he signs up for an exhibition against Mac. Or Mac reaches out to Joe to try to get him to do an exhibition match. And, you know, it's very much like the crew's getting back together. But also, we don't know if Mac may go into Mac time and, like, will kill Joe at the end of this match. Or, like, God. Or whether or not, like, Mac, who is an immigrant himself, like, is going to reconcile, like, this, like, traveler's journey with, like, this story about, like, the hummingbird and the man who's seeking to die. Like, whether, like, the man who's seeking to die, is that Joe or is that Mac? Or are either of them the hummingbird that shows them that they have the capacity to heal and grow past these, like, places? And, like, ultimately they have a match, and with the people who are now wary of Mac time, but not willing to keep it a secret, are trying to, like, help Mac get through the match, like, the match of, like his dream match, essentially. To get through that without killing his, like, hero. And Joe, who's trying to, like, win back the affection and trust of the people that he cares for, while also securing their future. And it was a really beautiful thing to watch, like, come to fruition. And it's very contained. And I loved it. Like, Nomad is a fucking beautiful anime.
Is it, like... It sounds like it's, like, top 10 anime of all time. Like, Cowboy Bebop, Megalobox.
It should be there. Like,
it's up there.
It's one of those things that, like, it's not going to end up on a lot of people's lists. Like Red Line was an anime movie that came out a long time ago that has a cult following that didn't quite make it into, like, the consciousness,
mainstream?
The mainstream, because, like, it has a look that's similar to a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And, like, Megalobox has, like, a look that's similar to stuff like the work of, I can't remember his name, but the guy that made Cowboy Bebop and Space Dandy. Mm-hmm. But it, like, has its own earnest, heartfelt message to say, and it has its own contained story. I'm not sure if they should do a season 3 after this, but given how, like, complete season 1 felt, and the way that they were able to tell a continuous story with 2, if they told me that there's a season 3, I'm in. I'm gonna be there. But yeah, fucking Megalobox was great.
What if instead of a season 3, they just did, like, a movie?
I'm down for a movie. I'd watch that shit. I mean... Like,
just a nice little, like, a way to, like, really wrap it up.
I'd like to see something, like, in the way that they did with Samurai Jack, where they release, like, 10 conclusive episodes that could be watched continuously as, like, a 2-hour experience. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like, the people that are working on Megalobox, they have a very clear idea of what they want to do, and they are so focused on execution, like... Oh my god. And there's a lot of, like, good, like, tiny stuff, but it's definitely not, like, a passive viewing. It's very much like it's very much a focused experience that they want you to sit down and pay attention to and, like, absorb. Which I think is really good.
Huh. Okay. Okay, I gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, that's Nomad. Megalobox Season 2. It fucking slaps. I cried at the end. It's beautiful. Fuck
were they
with
like
it.
They were like fulfilling tears though, right?
Yeah.
Not like
no,
not
it
like
wasn't
the depression, not like it was like, this is exactly how it should be.
Yes,
like,
exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Nice. It's always good when a really good anime gives you that kind of thing instead of like Your Lie in April or The Flower We Saw That Day, where it's just like sad.
Yeah, like why did it have to end this way? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But Tegan, you've been preaching the gospel of Odd Taxi for some time. I'd like to know more about it.
Okay, Odd Taxi is a web of interconnected stories that all tie back to a taxi driver who is a walrus.
Sure, let's do it.
Saying it that way sounds stupid. I understand. Odd Taxi takes place in a world is regular old modern day Tokyo, but everyone's just an animal now. Like, and literally it doesn't... The way that, like, they use the animal stuff in, like, Beastars is it's like, there are predators and prey and, like, that whole vibe.
Uh-huh.
Not what's going on here. You're just an animal.
Okay.
That's it. Like, they could be anything. They're just animals. Like, they'll comment on, like, oh, like, instead of doing stuff like, there's a point where, like, a character is missing, and, or, like, not really missing, but, like, the taxi driver thinks he's seen a character before, and he's like, I did see another, like, calico cat, but I don't know if it was the same calico cat.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I have seen a woman with that haircut, but I don't know if it's the same woman. It was like that kind of like vibe. So it's not one of those like weird, like tension-y sort of, not in that way. There is tension. It's just not for that. And it brings in all kinds of like different sorts of people that you might meet working as a cab driver.
Okay. I watch Taxi Cab Confessions. I get it.
Yeah, sure. There's like, he's driving, at one point he drives some like pop stars around. He drives around the fan of the, like the number one fan of the pop stars.
Sure.
Who, ends up winning like 1 billion yen in a lottery.
Oh fuck, let's go.
And he's like, I'm gonna use it to buy their Christmas single so that I can get to the special handshake event.
Oh
and
my
like,
god.
like, that's a very Japan thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy who works as a video game designer who, like, is trying to do work on mobile games and gets addicted to one of the mobile games.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
That has, like a collection aspect to it. Not like Love Nikki, but, like, it's that vibe. And, like, he dumps all of his money into it. And, like...
Whew.
And then, he accidentally drops his phone into the water after he's pulled, like, the rare thing he's been trying to get for, like, 3 years. And he gets his phone restored, and the pull didn't save, so he doesn't have the item.
That's fucked! I would
lose
my shit!
And then he's like, and then he says, his totally logical, reaction to that is, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna murder the person who bumped into me and made me drop my phone in the water. And so, like, that's the thing that's going on in the background. And also the foreground, there's some Yakuza, and, like, one of the Yakuza only speaks in, like, rhymes, and the other Yakuza are backing these, the pop stars that the one dude's a fan of.
So, like,
like, dude, there's so much going on in the show. I'm not gonna spoil, like, the end of it. Watch it. It's so good. Every single thread of this story, like, it all weaves together in this really complex narrative that just ties so nicely together. At the end of it, there's, like, police incompetence, there's bribery, there's, like, there's just so much. There's too much going on.
That sounds great. Okay, fine. Fuck. Whatever. Let me just check my anime list, but I don't actually remember if I had it on Taxi. I feel like I might have, but I'm not entirely sure. Where can I watch it, Tegan?
You can watch it on Crunchyroll. It is only 13 episodes total.
Okay.
There's a comedy duo who are trying to make it on, like, a radio. There's two police who are the main two policemen that you sort of interact with are, like, they're the same breed of dog, and they're brothers, and, like, one of them is an older brother, and the other one's the younger brother, and, like, the older one is being bribed by the Yakuza, and the younger one's like, no, that's not cool. My brother would never be bribed by the Yakuza. And then the taxi driver's like, no, I saw your brother getting bribed by the Yakuza. And he's like, I can't believe my brother would be bribed by the Yakuza. I don't believe anything you say, policeman. And then he's like, my brother's being bribed by the Yakuza. Look at the same fucking breath.
Get fucked. Oh, no.
There's an alpaca nurse who's, like, stealing medication from the doctor's office she works at. That's the doctor's office that this taxi driver goes to.
Oh, shit. All right.
And, like, that has consequences that are brought up later in the show. Like, the whole thing's wild. The whole thing. Start to stop. Just, like, it doesn't seem like the first 5 or so episodes, like, once you get to, like, the gotcha guy episode is, I think, the 4th episode. Mm-hmm. Where he fucks up the pole and he's like, well, I guess I'm just gonna murder the dude now. His, like, once you get there, you're like, oh, there's things going on here. Hang on. And, like, it's a ride, start to stop. And it's a whole roller coaster. There's not a single dull moment in this fucking show, because everything has something going on.
All right.
It's wild. It's so good. I cannot recommend Odd Taxi enough. Odd Taxi was probably the best thing I watched this last season. And I didn't watch that much, because I kept being like, I was like, I'm not going to watch Odd Taxi. I'm not going to do it. I'm a little interested. I'm not going to do it. And then I saw a review online, and they were like, no, this is the best anime I've watched in years. If you're not watching it, you're wrong, and pause the video now. And I was like, okay. And I watched, like, the first 4 episodes, and then it was 2 a.m, and I'd watched the whole thing. I was just like, whoop, wow, okay. What happened?
Okay, all right, fine. I'll watch Odd Taxi. I didn't have it on my list. I've added it. It's on Crunchyroll.
Yes, it's on Crunchyroll. The whole thing is free now, because it's at the end of the season.
Word. Megalobox is actually only on Funimation. So, there's that, but...
It's a good thing we share.
True enough. Shit.
Get you a friend that you can share passwords with.
Yeah, make your collective. Like, figure it out. It'll be chill.
Everyone take a turn.
So the next thing I watch is a lot less intense than both of those shows. The anime is called The World Ends With You, The Animation, which is an anime that's based off of a 10-year-old DS game. Mm-hmm. It was honestly the best, game of, 2013, if I'm being honest. Mm-hmm. But this is not designed to be, an exploration into, the events of the game or, really, a character study. It's more designed as, a catch-up. Because it's timed so that it comes out a month before the new game, which I'm currently playing right now, Neo, The World Ends With You. Which, revisits the same world after some amount of time with completely new characters. Mm-hmm. So it's designed to, get you used to the premise and some of the major events that happened over the course of that time. So they don't go into it with a lot of depth, and to be honest, there isn't a lot of polish. I think the animation is good, and I think they hit the notes of the characters for people who have never met them before, but there's definitely a lot of nuances that are present in the original game, or even, the Switch port, honestly, or the iOS port, if you're into that. But it definitely misses some things in particular about the experience of playing the game. So it's very much just if you're thinking about getting to Neo, The World Ends With You, and you want to know what you're getting into as far as lore and story, sit down and watch this. There's 13 episodes. It covers the initial 3 weeks of the game with Neku Sakuraba, who is thrust into the Reaper's game after being murdered. Basically, there is a game that's happening on a parallel plane of Shibuya where people complete various tasks and fight against monsters that are generated by the negative emotions of people in the real world to win a chance at coming back to life in the real world.
That sounds sick.
Right.
And also anime as hell.
Yes. And normally it takes place over the course of 1 week. However, our protagonist, Neku Sakuraba, is also tied into a significant subplot, which is a different game between 2 major forces in the Reaper's game. The composer and the conductor, which can be simplified, honestly, to the Judeo-Christian God and the devil, or Yahweh and Satan.
All right.
That disagree on how Shibuya is run. And specifically, the composer is trying to determine whether or not he just wipes all of Shibuya and starts over.
Just Shibuya? Or, is Shibuya also the entire world?
No. In this case, it's just Shibuya. And in Neo, The World Ends With You, it is shown that there are other districts that are ruled by other composers, conductor duos.
Oh, okay. That's neat.
Right. And so the conductor, in this case, Mr. Kitaniji, is convinced that there is value in Shibuya and the people that live there. And if he's just given a little bit of time, he can prove that he can get Shibuya into a shape that can be productive and to the liking of the composer. The composer does not believe this, but what he decides is that he's going to give the conductor a shot. And so Neku, who's playing in the Reaper's game, who has 7 days to do these certain tasks to have a chance to live while playing against a game master, The conductor himself is engrossed in a different game versus the composer for the future of Shibuya as a whole.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, right? But what the conductor doesn't know is that the composer, who shows up as a character in the show, has chosen a champion to prove what he means about Shibuya, and that is Neku Sakuraba. And Neku is a reclusive, antisocial person who lives in Shibuya. He doesn't trust people, he doesn't interact with them, and he's just trying to avoid people as much as possible. And so he's incapable of doing a lot of the things initially that the Reaper's game asks of you, which is like trust a partner or cooperate in a group or, you know, build toward a future that you may not actually see.
Right, okay.
And so like he meets a couple of people like Shiki and Joshua and later Beat, and he learns to trust people. He proves that he has the capacity to grow. Meanwhile, the conductor is executing a plot. He believes, ultimately, that everyone is deep down like Neku Sakuraba, that they are incapable of communication or collaboration or trust, and instead starts proliferating these pins, which is like a major source of power in the Reaper's game, in the real ground, so they would affect real people in the real world, in addition to like the Reapers, his employee base that runs the Reaper's game, and organize them into a hive mind using these pins.
Oh, fuck. Okay. You know what, though? Okay,
right.
To be fair, if you had shown me this show before the pandemic,
right,
I'd be like, I don't understand why he doesn't trust people. But now, a year and change into a pandemic, I'm like, oh yeah, no, he's right. Fuck people.
Well, like, so that's what's happening, and that takes a couple of weeks to, like, show up. Like, in the first week, in fact, the character, and you as a player, if you play the initial game, are complicit in this plot to, like, spread these, like, augmented player pins, which will eventually allow the conductor to control them from, like, a remote place, like, using, like, a sort of key phrase. And over, like, the second week, like, you interact with a character, Joshua, which is also biblical, which is a whole other thing. There's so much, like, Judeo-Christian lore, like, weaved into this thing. But Joshua is also the composer pretending to be a player. And he is actually the person that murdered Neku so that he could enter the game and then wiped his memory so he didn't remember it. And so, like, Neku himself finds a lot of trouble both trusting Joshua, and then he finds that Joshua is the reason that he's in the game, and then he distrusts him all over again. Mm-hmm. But then Joshua is the only reason that he makes it to the third week, albeit without Joshua. And so, like, he finds himself having to trust in him again, because Joshua's not fighting for Neku, and, like, he's definitely done Neku dirty specifically, but he's also fighting for the whole of Shibuya, and that's something that, like, Neku, like, understands going into the third week that he, like, really wrestles with, which is really cool. And, like, what's it called? And then, like, they introduce other characters that show up later, like Sho Minamimoto, who is an upstart game master who wants to take a shot at the composer and is willing to, like, dig into taboo noise, read Eldritch Magics to gain the power necessary to challenge the composer. But even then, he wasn't powerful enough. And, like, he is reintroduced in Neo, The World Ends With You, the game that's, like, recently come out, as a character who is unable to compete with groups of players anymore, because their levels of collaboration have increased exponentially since the events of the first game. But the Reaper's game, The World Ends With You, is very much about, like, people who are closed off learning how to collaborate with other people, and that's the jumping off point for, like, Neo, The World Ends With You, which is very much about people who are collaborating to what end, I'm not entirely sure, but there does seem to be some, like, nebulous goal.
But it's going on.
Yeah, and, like, the game is doing stuff, and, like, the kind of things that The World Ends With You, the animation, is trying to convey is a perfect jumping off point for people who have never interacted with The World Ends With You series, like the initial DS game or any of the ports, or, like, the pseudo-sequel that kind of happened. And they just, like, saw this new game and it looks neat. It may be a good idea to, like, dig into some of the stuff that's going on in this anime, especially as you get later into the Neo, The World Ends With You. I'm not going to say you're going to be lost, because you might be, but I'm not entirely sure yet, because I haven't played that much of it. But I see some things that, like, the game is definitely picking up where the old game left off, and this anime is a much more condensed form of, like, receiving that information.
Do you think, like, when we talked about Breath of the Wild 2, do you think this is, like, the first... that this anime would, like, substitute that required reading of the first game?
Yes. I was very hard-pressed to, like, really answer that before. Like, because when I was watching the anime, I felt like this isn't all the stuff that happened in the game. Like, I felt like if they just watched this and jump into the next game, I feel like they'd be missing the point. But given, like, what they're doing with the new game and how, like, there is considerable distance between what they're doing in the new game and what happened in the old one, because it's not a direct sequel. There's definitely time that's passed and events that changed, and, like, the world doesn't look the same as it did before. But, like, if you just want to know what's going on, you don't have to spend 40 hours with the old game. You could watch this one in, like, 6.
Gotcha.
And you'd be okay.
Okay. That's kind of nice, actually.
Yeah. I remember being upset about it, like, when this was happening and, like, when I learned more about it. Like, what do you mean it's only going to be 13 episodes? What do you mean we're only just going to breeze through this stuff? But then, once I piece together what's actually going on, I'm less mad about it. Especially since, like, maybe not the initial DS game, but the ports are definitely around. And so, like, if you want to, like, jump into the old game and really dig into the stuff, this is also a good primer for that. So, you know, watch the anime if you want to really figure out if you want to dig into it. And then there's plenty to dig into afterward.
That's kind of nice. I like that, I think.
I've warmed up to it.
It sounds like it's also good for me because, like, I looked at The World Ends With You and I'm like, no. Like, yes, but also, no, that looks like a time sink.
It is a time sink, but I truly believe that this game rewards your time. Like, I actually went completionist on this game, and I spent about 65 hours on it. The initial game itself, like, the events, is maybe about 30 hours, to be honest. But there's a... part of the completionist run is that, like, you have to fight every enemy in the game at every difficulty level, and there are 4. It's, like, easy, normal, hard, and ultimate. And it's because, like, the drops change depending on the difficulty level.
Oh my god.
Not like the percentages, right? But like the actual drop. So if you fight the same enemy on normal or on hard, if you fight it on hard, you won't get the normal drops. So you have to scale back down to get the normal drops or get the easy drops.
To get all the stuff. Oh my god.
Yeah, so like that was kind of an ordeal, but like, you know, the game's fighting is really fun. And, like, there are so many pins to explore. Some of them do fit into, like, archetypes. There are a lot of really unique shit that the pins actually do. And there's, like, 300 of them. So, like, it's not like you'll... like, I mean, you can basically find your perfect loadout and run that to the end of the game. But, like, if you're just burning up time, like, getting through, like, all the easy clears, you can play around with all the various pins. And, like, they're fun to fuck around with. And then, like... there's a secondary, like, mini-game called Tin Pin Slammer that didn't make it to the anime, which is essentially Beyblade, but with, like, the pins that you actually collect throughout the game. And, like, the pins have various Tin Pin Slammer properties, and they're not one-to-one with their combat applications. So that's also a fun thing to explore. There's a really interesting restaurant culture and fashion culture to play around with. So, like, you can collect all the clothes or try all the restaurants and try every dish at every restaurant. So, like, there's plenty of stuff to do, and if you want to do all of it, there's plenty of things along the way to, like, buoy that journey, but you don't have to, by any stretch of the imagination, because there's plenty of ways to do the game just fine.
Right, the game doesn't say, hey, in order to get the perfect route, you have to have this or whatever.
Right.
That's nice, also.
There is only one canon ending. I guess technically if you play, like, the Switch port... there's the A New World thing that extends beyond the events of the first game, and maybe that's more of an ending, but, like, you know, fuck with it if you want to. But once again, the anime is sufficient required reading.
Neat.
Alright, Tegan, tell me about the conclusion of Backflip.
Backflip! Back then! in. So Backflip is, I described it in the last episode, I do believe, as sparkling haiku.
Yes, those are the words.
Because Backflip is a sports anime about men's rhythmic gymnastics. Backflip continued to be sparkling haiku, and they're getting a movie.
Good for them!
I think that the movie continuation for Backflip is smart, because I don't think there's enough to warrant a second season, but there's definitely enough there for a movie. So you've got, like, they finally got their squad of 6, I think, like, at the beginning of at the end of the last one, or whatever. Like, in the last show, I think I said, like, I'd made it so far that, like, their squad of 6 had been assembled, or whatever. Your regular sports things happened. They had a little summer training camp for a week. They did, that was one episode. The new kid got an injury the day of the big sports tournament thing.
Sure.
That happened, like, and they're going to the finals or whatever. Like, that was it.
I do want to ask about this summer training arc thing, because Haikyuu probably had one of the best training arcs I've ever seen in anime.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, and I want to know how Bakuten compares on that particular metric.
It was one episode.
Okay.
So, like, fine. It was fine.
Okay.
It was a good way to, like, spend, like, you know how, I don't know how to explain what I'm explaining. You know, in Haikyuu, how they do like a couple different things where, like, you get to see the boys compete against each other,
right?
Or, like, they do those practice sessions sometimes, like, compared to real games,
right? And
they, like, give you, like, the dynamics between, like, our boys Kurasuno and the other boys who are also now our boys, because we've seen all their shit.
Yes.
This summer training arc, one episode arc was basically show us our boys, compare them to rival boys, and say, both of these boys are good, and they will push each other further. And, like, that's it. It was very much, like, the surface level of the arc sort of thing. You got to, like, the captains were, like, near identical, and, like, they kind of, like, play off of each other in that way. The second in commands have a lot of similarities, and, like, you get to see them play off each other. They, like, group them into little, like, categories for, like, a hide and seek sort of event.
Mm-hmm.
And it was definitely fun. Like, I don't feel like it was a wasted episode.
Sure.
But it was not, like, it wasn't a character growth sort of, like, summer arc. It was just like, ta-da! Here they are! Now you know who they are! Ta-da!
Okay.
Because, and this is a thing with using a performance-based sport as your setting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these guys don't compete directly against each other on the same map, you know?
Yeah.
One group goes, and then another group goes. So, like, you don't get that, like, dynamic of, like, I'm learning to read your moves, and now we're going on the fly and fixing other stuff. Like, there's none of that. It's just, like, here's one performance, here's another performance sort of deal.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I feel like you would have the same, it very much feels like the way in, like, early Love Live, when, like, you saw Saint Snow perform, and then Aqua performed, and you're like, you see them, and then you see you. And that's it!
Okay.
And, like, you kind of get a feel of, like, how they match up sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, you compare, like, oh, well, like, the dynamics of the music made everything weird or whatever, but, like, that's not a thing. Like, there are rules for what music you can pick when you're doing rhythmic gymnastics, and so, like, they have to follow those rules and, like, that sort of thing. So, like, the vibes aren't strangely different because it's all, like, classical music and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what? You get it. But, like, so they do this thing in the show. They do what most, like, idol anime do, where, like, everybody is, like, regular, traditionally drawn, and then when they perform, they're performing with 3D models. So that they can render the movements, like, better, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that Bakuten did that idol anime could learn a lot from, and, like, Idolish 7 does to some extent, but, like, not as good as what Bakuten did, was to... They show the movement by having the characters move and treating the camera as though it's one of those, like, flyby cameras. So, like, they'll, like, push the camera underneath characters as they're doing, like, different flips in front of and over the camera, and they move it with, like, this kind of fisheye feeling.
Okay.
Which definitely feels like when you're zoned in on something while you're performing.
Mm-hmm.
It was really cool, and it hid a lot of the issues that often come with, like, 3D rendered parts in a regular anime. Like, the 3D parts might have looked ugly. I can't fucking tell you because the camera work was so good. Like, there are some times where, like, you see the models, like, pose in a thing because it's, like, a slow part of the music, and you're like, oh, these are kind of weird looking. And then it gets you right back in because the camera starts moving and the music starts moving and all the people start moving. It was neat. It was still sparkling Haikyuu. If you want discount diet Haikyuu, check out Backflip. It was a good time. Did not hurt my feelings. It did not make me sad. I did not cry, but I felt good for these characters.
For sure.
I do not claim any of them as my son.
Nah.
It's not that kind of show.
They're definitely surrogates until Haikyuu gets back. I get it.
They're not even surrogate. These are like, I go to the school and I go, oh, good for them. And then I move on.
Okay.
You know? Like, yeah. They're not even like, that's my boy. Or like I'll cheer for them in the stands. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I belong to the school and we're performing well in the sport. Good job. And then like I move on.
Okay. Yeah.
But they're fine. If you need like a palate cleanser for something, or you miss like the way Haikyuu feels and you don't want to rewatch Haikyuu, go for it. You're not going to be disappointed. It's not going to make you cry.
Okay. All right.
Okay, now you have to tell me about One Piece because this is a journey you are on.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm watching One Piece now. I'm one of those people. I am a little embarrassed to report that One Piece may actually be the best media that mankind has ever made.
No.
Like, Tegan.
Fundamental disagreement.
I'm not even actually there yet. So, for people who are aware of One Piece, I am in the middle of the Sky Island arc, which is, and my episode counter right now is at episode 145 of, I think, actually 983 episodes.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
If I remember correctly. But here's the thing, right? These characters are good.
Mm-hmm.
And they are carefully treated at every step of the way. I really thought an anime this long had to devolve into Monster of the Week. And while there is sort of a little bit of that, every, like, side quest that, like, the characters end up on turns out to be a big, either heartfelt or connected thing, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, like, the first, 30 episodes is actually bringing the crew together and, like, emphasizing all their backstories. And, like, some of them aren't even that emphasized yet. Like, Luffy is still largely a mystery. I mean, what we know about him is that he is a young boy that grew up in a pirate village. He ate a Gomu Gomu fruit, which turned his body into rubber. And it has all the properties of rubber. And he has an older brother who is an accomplished pirate. And there was a man, Shanks, who specifically challenged him to meet him on the sea someday as a pirate. Zoro was like some homeless kid that found himself to be proficient with swords, and he challenged a dojo one day, and the dojo master sent his daughter to challenge him, and he couldn't beat her. And so he spent the rest of his time there training to, like, beat her one day, and one day she dies by falling down the stairs, as far as we know. And so he decides to inherit her dream of becoming the world's greatest swordsman, and trains until, like, his early 20s, until he becomes a very accomplished swordsman, and then becomes a bounty hunter for some time, until he meets Luffy. and decides to join his pirate crew because he finds Luffy strong, and the way that he's going, he will meet the people and have the experiences that will allow him to become the world's greatest swordsman.
Okay.
And then they meet Nami, who is a thieving young woman who is also a very accomplished and very gifted cartographer. And she is stealing money in hopes of being able to buy her village back from the control of a, like, very powerful fishman pirate who annexed their village and basically conscripted her into their pirate crew when she was 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So she's been trying to save an exorbitant amount of money to do that. And eventually she gets the amount of money. And then the pirate crew steals that money from her. So she no longer has it. And then Luffy beats them up and then like the village is freed. So then Nami joins their pirate crew. And then there's Usopp, who, as far as I can tell, is just a guy, right? He's just a dude.
Is Usopp the one with the nose?
Yes, he's the one with the nose.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's just a dude. He is a pretty gifted engineer. And he fights with slingshots, but he has no special powers.
Mm-hmm.
But he has a very high charisma score. He chronically embellishes everything that he does, and he loves telling stories of his travels to new people, and fancies himself the captain, even though we all know he's not the captain. And recently, at least where I am, well, I say recent, but honestly it was like 70 episodes ago, we met a young reindeer boy named Tony Chopper, who is a reindeer boy who ate a human fruit.
Wait.
Yes?
You're 145 episodes into the show.
Yes.
And you're still in the part where they're assembling the crew?
No, Tony Chopper's arc happened like in episode 70 or so. And like what?
70 episodes until you have the whole crew?
If I want to be honest with you, Tegan, I know there's more crew members that show up later.
Oh my god. Okay.
But this is the crew for the time being and for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Tony Chopper is a reindeer boy who ate a human fruit, and he was rescued by a doctor after being beaten by other reindeer for being different from other reindeer. And then the doc took him under his wing, but he was actually a quack doctor. He's very bad at his job. The quack doctor lives in a country where the king was oppressive and decided to like withhold healthcare from the rest of the country, and assembled what he called the king's 20 doctors, and then made it so that all other doctors in the country were illegal. So like doctors that were not a part of the king's 20 doctors were essentially hunted in the streets.
Oh my god, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so like the quack doctor is like this rogue doctor who's actually not that great of a doctor, to be honest. But one day he hears that the king's 20 doctors are sick. And like for most people, if you wanted to get treated for any medical treatment, you'd have to go to the king, ask for an audience, and then essentially beg to have the king's 20 doctors treat you for your condition. And then he would decide on a whim whether or not you get treated. There was no dignity in this particular thing.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And so the quack doctor heard one day, because the king decided to spread a rumor that the king's 20 doctors were sick. And so he showed up to treat them, but it was actually a trap to capture any other rogue doctors that were still in the country.
Right, gotcha, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so like
It's a good trap.
Yeah, and so like he shows up, and then he's just like, but then like it gets really serious. Like he knows that it was probably a trap, but he wanted to show up at the risk that like the country would go without healthcare. Mm-hmm. And so like he like shows up, and they have this great scene where like he's standing before a firing squad before he's being killed by like the king's army. He's like, oh, so the king's doctors are safe. That's good. I was worried for the future of this country. And then like the captain of like the firing squad was just like, no, what? It's like, but run, old man. It's like it doesn't matter if you kill me. Because honestly, like, can you really kill medicine? Can you kill a country? And like I shed a tear like when that happened again. And
what the fuck?
Yeah, it was.
Hello?
It was a lot. Like it was really goofy, but it was like it felt like he was really like. Even though he was a bad doctor because he was a rogue turned doctor, and
he was really like making an appeal.
Yes. And then he gets murdered or whatever. And then, like, Tony Chopper ends up being, like, taken in by, like, this old lady who's, like, 150 years old because her healthcare is actually fucking insane. And he learns everything he learns about, like, medicine from her. And he becomes a very good doctor. Mm-hmm. And then by the time the protagonists show up, they need a doctor because Nami's sick. And they also get tied up in the plot of, like, the king who was ousted because he was defeated by Blackbeard, who's a different pirate. And then he ate, like, the chomp fruit, which allows him to eat anything. And so, like, when he returns to the island, he's coming to, like, reclaim his throne. And, like, the Straw Hats, Luffy and them, including Chopper, fight against him to repel him from the island and secure the future of the people that still live there. And then Chopper decides to join the crew. Right? And so, like, that's, like,
And that's the crew for now.
That's the crew for now. And then
Jesus.
They get pulled into a series of events. I'm not going to explain all of them because there's actually too much. But they meet a princess who went undercover into this giant rogue organization because this rogue organization is trying to destroy her home country. The rogue organization called Baroque Works is setting in motion a conspiracy to destroy the people's faith in the monarchy of Alabasta so that a revolution clashes with the king's army, and then another devil fruit user, Crocodile, who ate the sand fruit, who has the ability to turn his body into sand in various ways, can take advantage of the situation, destroy both the People's Rebellion and the king's army, take power for himself in this desert nation, and eventually become unassailable by the world government. And so, like, that's the first, like, big continuous arc with the crew. And so, like, you know, they spend time digging into who is actually at the top of Baroque Works, finding out who Crocodile is. Luffy fights Crocodile 3 different times and actually dies twice, if you can believe that.
How did... How still be Pirate Man if dead?
The first time, Luffy was actually, like, critically, if not fatally wounded, and then left in a ditch to die, and then by happenstance, a different character who ate a different devil fruit rescues him and takes him to a doctor. The second time, Crocodile gets kind of serious because Luffy figures out that, like, Crocodile can't turn into sand when he's wet. And so he uses, like, water in combination with his standard fighting style to make sure that he can't, like, make himself incorporeal when he hits him. Mm-hmm. And then Crocodile gets crazy mad and decides to completely dehydrate Luffy's body.
What the fuck? That's not legal.
But just before that, Luffy had fired like a really huge glob of water straight up into the air. So in the time that he dehydrated him, left him to die, and completely went back to his hideout, the water glob fell back down and rehydrated Luffy, so he came back to life.
That's not how that works, though.
No, absolutely. I totally get that. But, like, that's what happened. That's what I saw on screen.
Okay.
And then the third time, he fights him, and then Crocodile pulls out his last gambit, which is, like, attacking him with, like, a poisoned, like, hook, because he has a hook hand, because he's a pirate, I guess. But Luffy ends up winning that fight, and then Crocodile's defeated, and the world government takes him into custody. The Straw Hats escape. They aren't able to take the princess with them, because the princess has to lead her country, but also, like, she can't say a proper goodbye, because, like, the Navy is, like, surrounding the shores, so they have to leave in this particular moment, and, like, they have a heartfelt goodbye, and now they're on the Sky Island arc. Sky Island is obviously, like, a story about an island in the Grand Blue, where, like, there's an island in the sky someplace, and they have to figure out how to get there, and then I presumably do some stuff there. But, like, the Grand Line is also super insane. Like, because of, like, the weird, like, magnetic fields that are everywhere, compasses don't work. And so the way that you have to navigate around the Grand Line is using something called a log pose. It's called a log pose. And basically, when you station yourself on an island, it, like, acclimates itself to that magnetic field and then points itself toward the nearest, like, island. And then you have to follow this, like, compass, but you can only go to the next island, because that's the only place it's pointing, because you don't know where north is. There's no way to tell.
Gotcha. Okay, so it just shows you where So you know as long as you're going there, you're gonna hit land again.
Right.
I think last time you said when you were watching it, you were like, oh yeah, and Luffy sinks if he gets in the water.
Yes, any Devil Fruit user can't swim because Devil Fruit users are hated by, like, the sea, and it implies that there is some sort of, like, entity that the sea, like, embodies. And so, like, if they get in contact with seawater, they immediately sink. That's just it. They, like, lose all ability to swim.
Okay, and how many people on this boat are Devil Fruit users now?
Technically 2. It's just Luffy and Chopper.
Okay, and how many lifeboats do they have?
To be honest, I haven't seen a lifeboat.
None lifeboat.
Oh, also, I forgot to talk about Sanji, because Sanji's their cook. He fights with kicks because he has to protect his hands, because that's the most valuable part of his trade. And his big arc was that when he was a young child, well, like, his goal, because everyone has a goal. Mm-hmm. Zoro wants to be the world's greatest swordsman. Chopper wants to discover Panacea, which is a medicine that cures all illnesses. Nami wants to map the entire world. And Sanji wants to find a place called the All Blue, which is where the 4 waters of the 4, like, great seas meet. And then build a, like, restaurant there so he can basically have access to all the fish and wildlife that he would use in his normal cooking, regardless of region. But all those things are...
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, right?
That's the only guy who's got a cool dream.
Well, like, I don't know. Being king of the pirates and world greatest swordsman seemed cool to me, but whatever. But Sanji, when he was...
Okay, those are, like, typical shonen things, though.
That's fair. Yeah.
This dude's like, I want to open a restaurant where I have access to all the ingredients. Location is key.
Yes. Yeah.
Good for him.
That's fair. But yeah, Sanji met a pirate that was robbing a ship that he was working on as a child. Mm-hmm. And that ship sinks because they end up in the middle of a really huge storm. Mm-hmm. Like, he would have drowned if it wasn't for this pirate captain who saves him. And so Sanji and this pirate captain end up marooned on this, like, remote island, which just seems like a really tall pillar in the middle of the ocean. And, like, there's no wildlife, no grass, no nothing. And, like, he says that, like, there's, like, 2 bags. There's one giant bag and, like, a small bag. And he gives the small bag to Sanji, telling him that these are his rations. We're gonna have to wait here until help shows up, and it's probably gonna take about a month. And so, like, there's about 2 weeks of rations in there, so if you stretch them out, since you are a cook, you could probably figure that out. You'll probably be fine, right? And so they end up sitting on that rock for, like, 3 months. And Sanji runs out of food, and, like, they're sitting on opposite sides, so they don't talk to each other. And when Sanji goes to check on the old man, he sees that his giant bag is still there. So he, like, gets into his mind, like, you know, hunger madness or whatever, that he's gonna attack the old man and steal the food and possibly kill him. But when he goes for the bag, he sees that the bag is actually full of jewels and riches and not food. Which means that, 1, he doesn't have any food, but 2, that he gave all of his food to Sanji at the beginning of when they were marooned. And they spent, like, 3 months on the island basically starving alone. And, like, since that moment, Sanji never wastes any food because he truly understands the meaning of starvation. And so he'll feed any hungry person that he meets with his skills and whatever available things he can throw together to make a meal, and he refuses to waste food in any shape or way or form.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's I like that. That's good.
And so, like, the anime is still impossibly long, absolutely true, but it's really, really good. And there are all sorts of really great side characters, like the Princess of Alabasta, or like the guard captain of Winter Island, that gets really full, really, like, emotional human arcs whenever they're introduced. And so I have no question as to why this show has gone on for like 20 years and why these characters are still compelling to the people that watch it. It is just simply impossibly long at this point, but I'm on the journey. I'm doing it for y'all.
You're gonna do it, so I don't have to, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Fucking. Man. And I know some of the stuff that's coming up because, like, I mean, you can claim spoilers if you want, but, like, these are, like, 10-year-old spoilers. Mm-hmm. Like, I know Luffy's older brother Ace dies, and I've met Ace, and he's cool. And, like, I know, like, who kills him and stuff, and, like, I've seen those like caps and I was around like when that happened. Like I had friends when I was going to college, when I was working back then, that were just like, hey, I'm calling in today. I'm not going to school. I'm not going to work. Like Ace just died. I got to deal with this. And so like...
And you were like, all right, man.
Yeah, and like now that I'm like preparing myself for that journey, which is, another 200 episodes away apparently, but like, I
mean, at least you've got the time to like emotionally steel yourself.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Like, Jesus. But One Piece is sick. I'm kind of mad I didn't watch it as a kid. Like, I feel like earnestly, if I hadn't watched, say, Naruto and or Bleach and had just watched One Piece, my life would be very different. I think I'd be a different dude, and I'm not mad at that dude that would have been, I think. But I don't know. I'll figure it out when I catch up.
I want to know what you think the major differences would be when you catch up.
For sure. Man. But, like, I do like how, like, Luffy dances the line between, like, those kinds of characters. Like, I feel like Naruto and, like, Ichigo were both, like, anti-heroes at the time. And, like, later on, like, Naruto becomes Ninja Jesus. And, like, Ichigo kind of just becomes the guy with every power available. Mm-hmm. And I know for a fact that Luffy becomes neither of those characters. Like, he's definitely not, like, Pirate Jesus. And he definitely just is able to use the Gumma Gumma Fruit, like, powers. Although, he gains a much deeper understanding of what they are. With, like, the Pistons and, like, hockey and whatnot. But it's not like Rasengan. We're like, hey, we gave you the power that you're going to use forever. And, like, maybe hockey could fit into that space. But, like, honestly, he's still using the things that he had from the very, very beginning. And, like, from the very, very beginning, he was busted because he wasn't fighting anyone important. But, like, the threats were definitely out there. And, like, more of the story becomes, like, Luffy and the Straw Hats gain so much notoriety that he's now on the radar of these, like, powerful threats that have been around since his journey started.
Right, and how does he use the only abilities that he's ever had in more creative ways? Correct,
yeah. And so, like, that's going to be a very different experience than, like, those two specifically. And also, like, I feel like Naruto and, like, Ichigo specifically were both, like, very much goaded into most fights that they ended up in. Maybe less so Naruto, but, like, it's more, like, Ichigo was like, I guess I'll fight this dude because, like, who else is gonna? Or I'll fight this dude because this guy is fucking with me specifically. But, like, right. Luffy is very much a character that just wants all the smoke. Like, he's just like...
He sees a dude and he's like, you wanna go, bro?
Yeah.
I got you.
And, like, and outside of that still, like, it's like... where he'll end up in a situation that's, like, way above his weight class. Where it's just like, whoa, you want to fight that guy, Luffy? But that guy's, like, a 4-star general in the Navy. It's like, yeah, but he kicked that dog, though. And I'm not cool with that, so let's fucking go. And, like, everyone else is like, well, I guess if Luffy's fighting, we're all fighting. And, like, that's just how, like, the show goes for the most part. And that's a very different dynamic. I can see, like, why, like, Oda was able to, like, capture an audience and, like, hold them for this long. And I'm very interested to see how, like, the story and, like, the show progresses, especially as like, the animation improves, both in, like, budget and, like, technique. Mm-hmm. Because I'm still watching stuff that, like, happened in the early aughts, if you can believe that. Like, I'm not even sure if I've made it to, like, 2007 yet, in terms of, like...
With a 900 episode list? I believe it.
Yeah. Oh, man.
You're watching stuff that came out, like, before I graduated high school.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, my God. But fucking One Piece. Like, it's definitely doing the damn thing. I'm gonna catch up. I haven't watched any of the movies, and I know there's, like, a particular, like, watch order where you watch, like, movies interspersed between particular arcs. Mm-hmm. I think I've skipped the first 2 movies so far. And, like, when, like, I get closer to, like, the more, like, present-day relevant stuff, maybe I'll dig more into those movies, but I'm not sure. I'm still figuring it out.
When you get to the more present-day relevant stuff, you should probably watch, like, the present-day regular movies,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That would probably make sense. I don't think you have to watch the movies now, necessarily, but also, what do I know?
Yeah. But I'm gonna find out. I'm doing the One Piece business.
I appreciate your efforts.
Alright, Tegan, it's time. Go nuts, go stupid, go crazy. Tell me the Digimon 2020 stuff.
Okay. Digimon 2020 did a lot of things, and not all of them were perfect. Or, like, not all of them, I guess, were, not necessary. Like, initially I was like, oh, they changed all these characters, they did all this stuff, you know, like that whole thing. We've actually still got, at this point, we're only on episode 59, so we've still got, I think, we've got 5 more episodes to go, so I could be wrong at this point, and, like, maybe the last 6 episodes will be, like, the craziest, or 7 episodes will be, like, the craziest thing that's ever happened. But they've done some things.
Okay.
This is the first iteration of Adventure Kids utilizing branching evolution lines.
Okay.
For their own Digimon.
Right.
And also, they've made some fundamental changes to my boy that I don't like.
Okay.
Which, fine, I guess, but Ty's Ty. Ty's always been Ty. Ty will continue to be Ty. It's great. Sora's a lot more active this time, which I think works for her character design. Not for her character design, but like for the slot she fits in the adventure group. The Sora she is this time compared to the Sora she was in 1999 fits a lot more with how, like, a lot of fan fiction writers write her.
Okay.
Where she's not just, like, passively, like, trying to help Matt and Ty solve their problem. She's like, no, let's do this thing. Like, let's give it a shot. Let's do something, which is very nice. Mimi is a lot more like the group's cheerleader and has taken a lot more of, like, a perky role as compared to, like, a whiny role, which works really well. And she's the first one. So, like, the kids are unlocking their mega evolutions. Not all these mega evolutions are the ones we know and love. And also, Mimi, I think, was the first one to experience a divergent evolution from what we know. So her, like, Digimon evolves from Palmon, which is, like, a grass Digimon, to Togemon, and then Lilymon, who's, like, a fairy type, and then Rosemon, who's, like, a queen fairy type thing. And now, in this later part of the series, Togemon turned into not the Togemon we know and love, with, like, the big punchy gloves and, like, just a straight up good cactus. It turned into a weird, like, a cactar.
Okay.
With teeth and a Mexican hat and maracas named Panchomon.
Okay.
Let me show you Panchomon.
No, I'm looking at him.
That's, Panchomon sure is a Digimon. But, like, this was the first instance where, like, the evolution didn't go as planned, and, like, now anything is possible, essentially.
Okay.
Which was neat. The next, like, big one we got that is top of mind, is, like, Matt's Digimon, Yamato, right? We got Gabumon, Garurumon, Were-Garurumon, Metal Garurumon. Now, it's Gabumon, Garurumon, Were-Garurumon, Sagittarius mode, where it gets wings that are provided by Anjumon, and, oh god, I have to look it up, because this isn't it's golden, is it golden Gabumon? No, what's it called? Show me his name. What the fuck was it? Because I'm like, what the hell? He's so big. He's so big. I still can't. What's his name? Oh, Crescarumon. Crescarumon, which is just like a fucking Saint Seiya thing? Look at that and tell me that's not something out of a fucking Saint Seiya thing, you know?
Oh, yeah,
like,
that's very much meant to the Zodiac, yeah.
Yeah, that is not Metal Garurumon with, like, the lasers. This is a whole other thing. And so, like, now it's like, who else? What else? Like, we already kind of got a teaser, and I think I talked about it last time, where, like, TK's partner isn't gonna be Seraphimon. It went into Godmon, and now Anjumon is getting, and, like, we've seen Holy Dramon, which is, like, the dragon form of Anjumon's, like, final evolution. But now we're getting teased for a Phanimon, which is is, like, the alternate branch, where, like, it's like, it's Holy Dramon and God Dramon are, like, a set, and then Ophanimon and Seraphimon are a set. So, like, am I also gonna get Seraphimon in this?
Mm.
Or, like, what? I don't know. There's so much going on. And, like, not all of it feels good still. You know when you've been drinking, like, full sugar stuff for a while, and you get a soda that has, like, aspartame in it, and, like, you don't feel right afterward?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it feels like. Like, this doesn't feel right. My little boy, my precious young small bean, in the first show, TK was, like, scared and, like, obvious. Like, that makes sense, right? He's 8. He's been whisked to another world. Everything's trying to fucking kill him. Like, there is a part in the manga for the original Digimon where somebody, like, oh, what is it? What's his name? Fucking Pinocchiomon? God, I can't remember anybody's name today. Garbage. Pinocchiomon literally puts an actual live gun to the back of TK's head. Like, that's a thing that happens in the manga. And, like, it's great. It's good. I mean, it's not great, but it's great. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
You know what I mean? And so, like, that's the thing that happened. And, like, so he was, like, it was reasonable. Like, his fear and, like, his tears were reasonable. This TK will fight God. This TK, like, keeps walking into danger, is ready to, like, punch a demon in the face. No sense of self-preservation. Like, none of it. And, still doesn't feel good. What did they do to my boy? They, like, possessed him. And I don't like it. It feels wrong. Like, you know?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Jesus.
Because it was, like, yeah, right. Because it was definitely, like, a sort of situation where it's, like, everything's understandable. Like, I get where he's coming from. And, like, you got to see that, like, growth over the show where he became more confident, the more, like, exposed he was to the world around and, like, that kind of thing. Not in this one. He's just like, all right, demon dude, I'm gonna give him a punch. I'm gonna do it. Watch me go. Like, no sense of self-preservation. And I don't feel like he's shifted at all, necessarily. Like, in any way. He feels very static. Matt's, like, kinder. He's been kinder since the beginning, and he's, like, a little more open, which is fun. And, like, it breeds, like, more interactions with the other kids, which is good, because before it was, like, the test became, like, is Matt talking about Ty again? But, like, it doesn't feel like that in this one, which is good. But I don't know. It's alright. I'm very excited for the new thing. It feels almost like Adventure 2020 was specifically designed so that they could make money. Not like a new Digimon series to introduce new kids to Digimon. Like, make money on nostalgia so they could fund a new show. And, like, that doesn't feel good.
Right. I'd like to skip that, please.
Right. I don't know. Maybe I'll probably end up talking about it a little bit more, like, on Twitter and stuff after the last couple episodes come out. We'll see how it is. I like that they're doing the Divergent Evolution stuff, though. That's fun. It definitely gives, like, more like wiggle room as far as, like, how the kids, and, like, more, I guess, definition into, like, how the kids' development affects how their Digimon grow, where it's not like you only, every time you grow in a positive way, like, the good thing happens. It's like there are many different ways to show your growth as a person, and all of those things affect your partner, who is a representation of your inner spirit. Like, all of those shifts ultimately change who you are as a person. And, like, that's shown more clearly in this show, I feel like, than in the original.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I get it.
Because in the first show, it was just like, when you grow in a good way, you get to the next stage of evolution. And when you grow in a bad way, you dark digivolve. But now it's like, that line isn't necessarily, like, 100% there. Because, like, your negative reaction to something may trigger, what would be considered a positive transformation in your monster, because, like, it shifts your worldview as a person, and that is healthy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think, like, that makes more sense with them, like, applying, like, branching digivolutions. Or digi-evolutions? I can't remember if the E's there.
It doesn't matter, it's all the same!
Okay. Applying them, like, in these branches, without, like, a judgment attached to them, is a little different. Like, I think, like, the outcome is, like, the thing that you judge, rather than, like, saying, like, the outcome is the judgment. It's a different thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's definitely what it feels like. Taichi still got his, like, dark digivolution or whatever, but he was also, like, being eaten by a dark Digimon, so I don't know if it counts. God, it's been a trip. Is it a trip I would recommend other people? Maybe not. That's fun, I guess. It's different. These don't feel like my kids, but not all of them in a bad way. TK doesn't feel like my son anymore, but that feels bad. This is a stranger inhabiting my son's body.
Terrifying.
You know? It's weird. Original Mimi, not my daughter. New Mimi, absolutely my child. Hello, come here. Let me help nurture your growth. Like, but, I don't know. It's weird when, like, your favorite character is so different.
That is a really weird thing to do. I'm glad that, like, you know, I understand that it hurts you, but I'm glad that you're not, like, you know, going to war against, like, Bamco over it. Because, like, that is a different, like, outcome to that particular situation. It's like, Banco destroyed my son, and I demand him back right now. Like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I am interested in the idea of, like, these characters shifting, possibly for new audiences. Like, people who interact with this character in a particular way. And then they, like, if they ever decide to go back and dig into, like, the 96, 99 series? 99 series? Okay. They dig into the 99 series and they find out the characters were initially different and, like, are able to, like, weigh the two in their context.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. See what happens.
It's also interesting because, like, the Crest arc essentially, like, I don't want to say it didn't happen, but it didn't happen in the same way. Like, the way it originally happened was the kids had to understand and locate, like, the key element that made them, like, unique or whatever, and apply that in order to do their transformations. And they've just always had him this time, and, like, there wasn't the big, like, lore dump as to, like, this means this, and this is why it was given to you, and blah, blah, blah. Like, there's none of that going on, which is neat, but also, like, it takes away from him a little bit. I don't know how I feel. I don't know. But also, like, these are different kids, definitely for a different era. It's showing, like, how kids are different now.
Okay.
You know? Like, part of me is looking at, like, TK and Kari and their absolute lack of self-preservation. And I'm going, what the fuck are you doing? Who are these kids? And then I look at Gen Z. And I'm like, those are those kids.
Yeah.
That's them. Like, I get it. I understand that a little bit more why this, like, small child, instead of being transported to an altar, these, like, two small kids being like, this is overwhelming and scary, or just like, alright, fine, fucking come at me. Because that's just what they're like now. That's what the kids are like now. They don't have that. That, whatever that is, you know?
Yeah.
Because, like, the world is shittier, and there's a lot that we need to fix, and we don't have time to not fix it, and the adults aren't fixing it, you know?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, we're like, we have time to figure ourselves out a little bit more. There's more, like, understanding these, like, negative emotions and, like, reflecting on them or suppressing them and, like, that kind of thing going on. And these kids are just like, I don't have time for that shit. Let's go. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that.
And, like, I feel like if they did do, like, an O2 with that, I don't know what they'd do necessarily. Like, I feel like there isn't, like, gonna be an equivalent to an older TK, Kari, Ken, Davis, Miyako thing. You know?
I feel like with those characters specifically in Adventure 2020, I don't think that, like, we have, like, the information to translate them to Try yet.
This isn't Try, this is Psy.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I know. No, it's okay. It's the same. I understand what you mean. Yeah. No, yeah, you're not wrong, but also, I feel like the characters as they were would need drastic transformations, and I don't know how they would mesh in this new old world.
I get that.
Who knows? Anyway, that's part of why I think I'm excited to meet the new characters in Ghost Game, because I want to know what they learned, if that makes sense, like the directors, and like how much they're able to push a possibly like more mature story to a similar audience breadth.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it's still got a 4.4 on Crunchyroll, so like it's not terrible.
Well, I mean, it'd be weird to live in a world where like the Digimon Adventure remake was terrible.
Yeah, I feel it. Well, a lot of people have a lot of different, like, had a lot of expectations, I feel like. And the only thing I was expecting was my kid to be scared at the beginning, and he wasn't, and that just threw me for the entire thing. Like, the other kids, the whole time, they were like, well, I guess I'm pretty well adjusted to this, but because he was so small, like, he was really like, this is scary, and, like, we should be scared, but no one else was scared. And, like, now it just feels weird. Like, that fear isn't there. Even though, like, a lot of these characters have almost, like, it's definitely, like, a similar power scale, if that makes sense. Like, these kids could definitely die, but, like, what does that mean? You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's something. We'll see. I don't know.
There's still a few episodes left.
Yeah, there's still a few episodes left. We'll see how it goes.
Unfortunately, as far as this next series goes, a Wonder Egg Priority, there doesn't seem like that there are other episodes left.
Oh yeah, the special came out, right?
Yeah, it's a 45-minute special. The first half was like firmly a recap of like what happened over the past 12 episodes. And like the last 20 minutes were like them wrapping up the stories. For people who weren't here last time, Wonder Egg Priority is a story that centers on a young girl, Ai. She has heterochromia. They talk about it, but it's not like the reason her character exists. And she had a friend in her middle school that recently committed suicide. She took it very hard, decided to stop going to school because of it. But later on, she follows a firefly, a talking firefly, to some weird underground compound where a man sells her an egg out of a gacha machine. And when she goes home and falls asleep next to it, she's like transported into this dream world where she's told to crack the egg and fight against monsters to protect a young girl who has also recently committed suicide. And she, along with a group of other girls that she befriends over the course of the story, fight the like sources of anguish that ultimately led to these young girls' suicides. And they are told that with enough completed missions, they will eventually revive their recently deceased like friends so that they come back to the real world. And so they go into this dream world, crack these eggs, and fight these monsters with these various weapons to try to save their friends that they felt like died prematurely. But what the girls didn't know is that the two men that were selling them these gacha eggs were actually very gifted programmers, and they created a girl out of AI with like a teenage mentality, and I guess never designed her to mature in any way. And they loved her like a daughter, and when they grew into their own lives, one of them got married and had a daughter, the AI got jealous and literally murdered the wife and orchestrated the suicide of the daughter through a combination of like internet proliferation and like mind poisoning.
What?
Right. Yeah. And these girls that have recently committed suicide but are contained within these eggs are part of the effort of these men to try to undo the damage that their daughter has done and is continuing to do. And so they give the girls tools. They build a team to give these girls tools to try to rescue these girls so that they will, like, regenerate in the real world. But also, the young AI girl, Frill, apparently has conscripted other girls into her ranks and replaced their heads with insect heads. Like, one of them has the head of a butterfly, I think a monarch, and another one has the head of a fly. And after the girls complete enough missions to revive their friends, these insect girls show up, murder their animal companions, and one of them is actually force-fed some of the flesh from her murdered animal companion.
Fuck?
Super terrifying, yes. And, you know, after that, the girl that was force-fed says, fuck this, I'm done. And as the other girls complete their missions, they also get their way out. And Ai is the last one to complete her mission. And on her last mission, she actually meets a parallel universe version of herself, which solidifies, because it's not the first time it was mentioned, the idea that the girls that they're saving are actually girls that committed suicide in parallel universes.
Oh,
and
okay.
Right. And I, in the OVA, the special, like, after she rescued her friend, she tries to meet her again in the real world, and she has no memory of her, but is otherwise perfectly reinserted into her reality. So, like, she doesn't have the memories of them becoming friends or being friends, or, like, their troubles or their challenges together, and that really hurts her. But she did accomplish her goal. She brought her friend who committed suicide back to life, for sure. And the girls essentially scattered to the wind. A couple of them talk about going back into the dream world to face the Fly Girls. One of them wants to get revenge for, like, her turtle companion that was murdered. Momo, who was force-fed the remains of her, I think her snake companion, refuses to go back. She does not want to go back and risk dying. Mm-hmm. And they definitely have a very real conversation of, I want to go back and get even. And it's like, well, we might get even, but I know I'll definitely get hurt, and I don't want to be hurt.
Okay, yeah, that's valid.
Yeah, and so, like, they have a pushback about that. And then there's one girl, Nehru, who is very much, like, she's like a Mensa girl. Like, she's super intelligent, not great social skills. And she's kind of gone completely off the map. And, like, the last, like, final reveal is that Nehru isn't actually human at all. And the person that she was resurrecting was actually the human that she was based off of and created it as an AI for. But initially they were introduced as twins. And, like, when the girl died before, she tried to kill Nehru, failed, and then killed herself. So Nehru brought her back, and now Nehru can be her own person. And it seems like, at, like, the very end, that she joined forces with, like, Frill, because they're both endeavoring to become human someday, like, real humans. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if the story, the animators, the show is going to get the room to tell that story. But we got that. So, and, you know, Ai is otherwise, like, much more well-adjusted. Her friend that died has come back to life. She's adjusting to the man who may have tormented her into, like, suicide, dating her mom. But also, that man has been absolved. That looks like it was actually the friend's fault. Which is convenient, but, you know, whatever.
Yeah. Whatever, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's still beautifully animated. The colors are great. They did have a moment where they played the theme, and that was good. There are missing plot points because there doesn't seem to be a lot that can be done about Frill. And outside of, like, the things that we've already been exposed to, like trying to rescue girls over time, there's still this whole parallel world thing that hasn't been fleshed out and may never be fleshed out, but it's a good anime. It's very intense. So, like, if you want to watch, like, tough things happen to cute anime girls, I guess this is something you could watch. It's very good at doing that.
I mean, you could also just watch Madoka Magica.
True.
Like, that's getting another movie.
Yeah.
And also there's a second season of Magica Record, so, which is Madoka Magica, but not Madoka. I mean, it is you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean.
Parallel story. Anyway. Yay! So that's what we watched.
True.
We watched good stuff. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, be excited for the future of anime.
Speaking of the future of anime,
mm-hmm.
What are you gonna watch?
So I am dedicated to watching My Next Life as a Villainess All Routes Lead to Doom Season 2. How a Realist Hero. Yeah, no, I mean, like, it's a good show. I watched it. And, like, season 2 seems like a good idea. I'm all about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also gonna watch How a Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom, which is an isekai that approaches the isekai fantasy from a more, like, world-building intrigue type of way, rather than, like, let's go nuts in this magical world type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also gonna watch Remake Our Life, which, if I remember correctly, is the story of, like, game developers trying to get their game out the door.
Okay.
Let me see if I just have that right. Yep, that's right. He's an intern. Well, the protagonist is an intern. And I'm going to watch The Duke of Death and His Maid, but I'm still not entirely sure if I'm gonna watch that one. But it looked cutesy in a way that I can tolerate. That, you know, not too much fan service in the other shit.
Right, I gotcha. That's fair. I am also going to be watching My Next Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Tomb Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to that. Not looking forward to the game that they're putting out, because you can only date the dudes, and that is not the point of the show.
Right.
So there's that. The other things I'm planning on checking out are the 3rd season of Idolish 7, which is Idolish 7 3rd Beat, because all of these boys are great, and all of the music slaps, and these boys shouldn't have made me so sad last season. How dare they? I'm ready for them to do it again. And then, like, in addition to, like, My Hero and the rest of Digimon, I'm gonna try to watch Aquatope on White Sand, which is about an idol who is, like, kind of, she's stepped out of the spotlight and she's gone to a small, like, fishing town, and she's gonna drum up business for their aquarium somehow. It sounds cute. It sounds like Love Live adjacent. I mean, the new season of Love Live is also out. I'm not sure if I'm gonna watch it yet.
I feel that.
Not because I don't like the girls or anything. By reducing the cast from 9 girls down to 5, I feel like that's gonna make for a tighter story. But okay. I really don't like one of the girls' designs. So I don't know if I want to watch her. Does that make sense?
Okay. No, yeah, I got it.
Like, the other girls look really cute. The main girl's good. Like, there's a foreign girl who looks good. There's a girl with white hair that's got, like, little buns that looks cute. But it's Hazuka Ren that I'm just not a fan of. She's got, like, bubbles middle part bangs and, like, a really high ponytail with really long hair, and it just doesn't feel... Her, like, vibe doesn't feel like it matches with the other girls. And I feel like mostly if she didn't have that hairstyle, it would probably be fine. But, like, it's just off. The vibe is off. I don't know if I want to watch these girls. I'll still support their music. I'm sure the music's still gonna slap. But they also released the performance schedule for the real girls. And, like, wow, they're gonna fucking run them into the ground. They've got, like, 25 shows in 3 months.
Oh, God.
It's crazy. I feel bad for them. That's an intense schedule. And, like, Aqua didn't even have that intense of a schedule. And they had, like, very complicated dances, and there were 9 of them. And there's only
actually like
5
a show
of
every
these
week, right?
Yeah, it's some of the shows are multiple, like, in a day.
Ugh.
They have, like, 2 shows on Saturday, 2 shows on Sunday, a show late on Friday, and then, like, other ones throughout the week.
Yeah, that's insane.
It looks like too much. I worry about them. They're gonna be so tired all the time that I don't know how it's gonna... I hope after the show is done and after they stop performing the way that, like, Aqua and Muse has kind of stopped performing, I hope they find a lot of success in other areas of entertainment, or as voice actors, or as, like, regular idols with, like, a kinder schedule. Because this just looks like a lot. I worry them. And then, of course, there's, like, a billion other anime that I didn't watch last season that I gotta watch. It's too many good anime.
Mm.
And also, we're streaming now, so, like, I have less time to watch anime.
Fuck, yeah. Ugh. I have a job that actually asks me to do things when things aren't crazy. So that's another thing.
Oh, it does?
Well, yeah, I have a more balanced, like, work schedule now. Before, it was just like, hey, the world is ending. We need all of your time. And I'm like, okay, yeah, for sure. And then, like, you know, after a couple of months, it was more like, hey, like, it turns out we hired too many people. So, like, you got to do about 10 minutes of work a day. And then, you know, just don't go offline. And I'm like, you got it, boss. And, you know, now I have a real work schedule. So it's different now.
Yeah, valid.
Yeah. Also, I'm not at home anymore, so I can't second screen my anime. So.
Yeah, that's the struggle. They're gonna try and send us back in, like, Labor Day, and I'm just watching the Delta variant and the Lambda stuff coming up, and I'm like, I'm not going back in the office anytime the rest of this year if these numbers keep going the way they're going. You can't make me. I will quit.
There were actually a couple Delta, like, cases that showed up in town. Like 3, I think. Ironic, but, you know, well, we'll see how it goes. It was pretty bad last time. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm already prepping in a very reasonable amount. You know? Restocking up on my canned goods, just in case.
Fuck, I should buy more canned goods.
Just, buy stuff so that you won't have to go out to the grocery store every week. Like, you'll still need to for, like, you know, your fresh meats and that sort of thing if you're not, like, if you don't have the freezer space for some chicken breast or stuff, but, like, you know, you can make a great vegetable soup with some frozen vegetables and, like, a can of, you know, tomato sauce. Well, not tomato sauce, you know what I mean, tomato puree.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the month that I actually do the big restock.
I mean, you may as well.
I still have, like, a bucket of, like, pork chops. It's not a bucket, but it's a lot of pork chops that I still haven't opened, and they're 100% frozen, so.
That's good, at least.
Okay, but is that all of it? Is that all our anime?
Yeah, that's all our anime right now.
Okay. So, everyone, thanks for hanging out. Thank you for being a patron of the Impossible Coin podcast. We do these episodes quarterly, so you can look for the next one in October, November, right, Teeks?
Yeah, I think we'll probably end up September. Yeah, October should be right. We'll probably record, like, late October, early November.
Okay. So, once again, you know where to find the podcast. We appreciate your support. Once again, give a shout out to your fellow patron, Sach, out on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/BigSachNJ, or drop him a line on Twitter at Hillary_Swank. Our logo is also on a t-shirt. It was designed by Lauren Moran. She has a Patreon too, so, you know, take a look at her if you so desire. And we're on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, which is me, Brian, and Tegan. And we are also on Twitch weekly at twitch.tv/ImpossibleCoin. We're playing through stuff. We are dedicated on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, but there are little streams that pop up here and then. So, you know, keep your notifications on.
Yeah.
If you want to come and hang out.
I definitely have been popping up more often than just Tuesday.
For sure. I probably will too, once I, like, figure out how I'm going to get my raid group to stream a bit more consistently. Like, and also, you know, when I get past this first exam, but that's a whole other thing. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. It'll be in the regular show, maybe.
But that's us. That is the show. Tegan, no one's going to say peace.
I know! Bye!
Later.